We take you live to the DVAL offices and bring you the latest update on this particular situation. Are you willing to prepare your TV license fees, or do you risk going to jail? We will bring you the views of residents on the streets of Accra. And on the foreign front, 9 more people have been killed overnight as clashes between protesters and security forces continue in Iran for the 6th day. These and many more stories coming up in our bulletin. Stay tuned for more. And we start off with one of our top stories this hour with fresh news just coming in there, where President GHOne has assented to 5 acts passed by Parliament last year. The bills include Office of the Special Prosecutor, Northern Development Authority, Middle Belt Development Authority, the Coastal Development Authority, and the Zongo Development Fund. Addressing a brief ceremony attended by the Vice President Mahamudu Bawumia, the Minister for Information Mustafa Hamid, and the Deputy Minister for Information Kojo Opon Nkrumah, and held in the inner office of President, the President GHOne expressed great hope that various offices required to be set up for the full implementation of the laws he has assented to will be done in record time.
It's important. It's an important ceremony because some of the most important elements of the MPP manifesto, upon which we were elected into office, have now found legislative expression. And I thought it would be good for the country to see that that development has taken place. So I've asked you to come and witness, as it were, my assent to 5 separate bills that the Parliament has enacted. The first is the establishment of the Office of the Special Prosecutor. As you know, this has gone through a lot of controversy. But my hope and expectation is that the establishment of this office is going to be an important step in our collective determination to root out corruption in the public life of our country. All of us know that it has been a major bane in the development of Ghana. And hopefully this office, that is its intention, will make that contribution and make sure that public officials, past and present, are held to account for their actions, and that corrupt acts will no longer go without investigation and, if necessary, sanction once due process has been respected. So that's the first. I'm also going to give assent to the 3 development authorities: the Northern Development Authority, the Middle Belt Development Authority, and the Coastal Development Authority. As you know, in the course of the campaign, we indicated that we wanted to try a new approach to the development of our country, a new approach that went towards a decentralization of the development paradigm. is that the centralized approach to development that we have witnessed virtually the entire period of our independent life has not been successful in delivering development at the grassroots of our society. And therefore, we made this commitment that we would spend every year on each constituency the equivalent of $1 million. And that these developmental authorities that are now going to be put in place will be the vehicle for the management of these funds and the expenditure of the 1 million, the equivalent of $1 million per constituency commitment.
Well, there you have it, just happening earlier on this morning. And joining me in the studio now is presidential correspondent Wilberforce Asare for more updates on this. Hello, Wilberforce.
Hi.
And thank you so much for joining us. And so you're right in time, just quickly after this news. I don't even want to ask how fast you made it to studio, but we've heard it straight from the president just now. Highlighting and making an announcement on these new laws. And I just need you to take us through some of them. I know it's 5 of them, and one of the most critical ones is the special prosecutors laws. Just kindly discuss that with us.
Well, so as the president himself said in his clip, that these have found expression in Ghanaian law. And so going forward, what it means is that we have 5 new acts that have become law in the Republic of Ghana. The first of it is the special prosecutor, which is supposed to set up a special prosecutor's office. Going forward, the president has to appoint a special prosecutor and his deputy, together with some other officials that are spelled out in the law. They need to have a physical office because they are a body corporate. And then going forward, they will have to start their work subsequently after all those processes are done. We do know that there are certain aspects of their work, which is the nitty-gritties, which will require a legislative instrument. But that will come after some time. For now, we have the law. The law must begin to work, and all the operational issues will come in through a legislative instrument, which is within the purview of Ghana's parliament. So that is what we have for the special prosecutor law, which because now is law. So we no longer say special prosecutor bill, is now a law.
It's now a law.
So apart from the special prosecutor, we also talk about the 3 development authorities. So we have the Northern, the Middle Belt, and then the Southern. So what it is that these are authorities that are going to be set up. They will also require physical offices, and beyond the physical offices, they will need people to manage the authorities. Of course, the president indicated that these development authorities are under the Ministry of Special Initiatives, but they are institutions on their own and they are mandated by law. And so what it means is that he's going to have to appoint people to head those authorities and then also have an office so that they can operationalize their activities and function appropriately.
Talking of development authorities, I see even in his new laws, he did not leave out the Zongo development under the Zongo Development Fund.
Yes.
More details on this.
Yes, so the Zongo Development Fund has also found expression in the law. So what it means is that a fund is supposed to be set up, there's supposed to be a fund manager, and then we do know that he has a ministry for Zongo development, but that will not any way affect the setting up of the fund authority, so that they will work hand in hand with the Ministry of Zongo Development to get their work done. Essentially, this particular fund is to ensure that all the Zongo communities that we have in the country receive adequate funds that will allow them to carry out developmental activities and developmental programs within the Zongo environment. We do know that the Zongo communities are not really anything to write home about, and so their drainage system, their housing system, and all those things, this fund is expected to bring some amount of
the newly formed office
exactly
for that,
just so that they can get their work.
Just quickly before I let you go, Wilberforce, would you say, as great as it sounds, these new laws, because you can tell that it comes from a good place, to help, make the nation better by all means. But would you say that shouldn't we rather be focusing on the already existing ones and making sure that those work as opposed to, adding new officers where else we hadn't really achieved much in the already existing offices like your sanitation and other
Indeed, we do have a lot of laws in Ghana which are not being implemented. That is the truth. However, it doesn't mean that laws will not come up every now and then. That is why Parliament is there. And so I'm hopeful that with the coming to force of these new 5 laws, added to all the others that we have, the implementing authorities, and I choose my words carefully, there are going to be implementing authorities. And it is those implementing authorities that must make sure that these laws that have found expression in Ghana's laws will materialize, just so that it doesn't become just law written in the books. Recently, there was the issue about ROPA, which is an act of parliament that was passed some many years ago. Till date, ROPA has not been implemented. It went to court, and the court had to order the Electoral Commission to implement ROPA into its latter. And so we don't want to get to that place with the issue about Zongo Development Fund or the 3 Northern Development. These are embedded in the promises or the manifesto promises of the current government. And so whoever is appointed to ensure its implementation must take every step to ensure that these are implemented, or else the government will be held accountable as to why they were not able to carry out things that they promised the Ghanaian people that they were going to do.
Thank you very much, Wilberforce, for this update. That is Wilberforce Asare, our presidential correspondent there, just giving us even more details as to what exactly happened earlier on this morning as the president announced these new laws. These are the 5 acts that have been passed on, as mentioned and broken down by Wilberforce just now. And now we move along to the rest of our stories in our bulletin, where the Chief Justice, Sophia Akufo, has set specialized courts to deal with TV license fee defaulters. Now, the courts, numbering 11, are located across all the 10 regions of the country and will sit every Thursday beginning on the 4th of January 2018 from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. The license, which was intensified in 2015 following years of failure, has been met with opposition from the many users. But some Ghanaians have taken to social media after the announcement, expressing their reservations about the special court. And now we'll go for a short break. When we come back, we pick up where we left off on this particular story. Well, welcome back. If you're just tuning in, you're watching Newsroom right here on GHOne TV. And we continue, of course, with the rest of our stories in our bulletin. As I said earlier on before our break, the Chief Executive Officer of the Consumer Protection Agency, Kofi Kapito, has criticized the establishment of the specialized TV license courts by the Chief Justice. According to him, GBC must learn from other television stations and look for innovative ways to generating revenues to enhance their operations. He called on government to review the laws that underpin the establishment of the TV license fees.
See wrong with this thing is Ghanaians or consumers who are asked to pay this TV license don't even see any value that they are getting from paying the TV licenses. Somebody probably did not allow for the law to be looked at properly, to be vetted to see if we are doing something as is done somewhere, or isn't the first time that we are doing it as a nation. What can we compare with? How can we come on top to make ours better, even from the one that we are copying from? That is where we fall short as a nation.
Access to potable drinking water has become a scarce basic amenity for residents of the Parambo Sawabo in the Bono Ahafo region. The situation has resulted due to the rotting away of the Parambo Sawaba water treatment plant about 8 years ago. Now, according to residents, the situation has been precarious since 2010.
Following the abandonment of the water treatment in the community in 2010, after its pump was destroyed 8 years ago, some residents say the area where the water pump is located has become a haven for reptiles. This makes the area dangerous for residents, thus they resort to drinking the untreated water from the Volta Lake, which they share with cattle. Due to the unhealthy nature of the water, the community has recorded about 32 cholera cases, which has so far claimed the lives of 13 people. A resident of Parambo Sawaba Lakeside, Kwame Mauto Agbevo, spoke to the news team about the situation.
Statistics from Yeji Hospital means Parambo, Nshiano, and the whole Parambo town is laden with the stomach problems. Yeah, the cholera. So many of us living in this village, we are taking pure water. You can imagine how many people can buy 1 cedi of pure water a day.
Assembly member for Parambo Sawaba, Suleiman Yusuf Badi, called on investors to come to the aid of the community.
We are appealing to any investor or any private individual who can come to the aid of the community by coming to invest into this water project. I tell you, the fellow will not regret for doing such a wonderful investment, because this, I tell you, is water. Water is life. No matter what we do, we cannot do without water.
Land guards continue to terrorize residents of the Tuba, Oshie and Kokrobite in the Kasoa enclave. Late last year, a clash between two land guards groups led to the loss of several lives, leaving many homeless. Property developers have had to cough up at least 2,000 cedis per plot to each group in order to be allowed to access to develop their lands. The police in the area have been on a collision course with the youth in these communities. The move has, however, done very little to bring reprieve to residents and developers. Ibrahim Al-Hassan brings us more on the following report.
There are harrowing stories from these communities. Any encounter with these marauding youth, popularly known as langas, is a life-threatening experience. Masons and laborers who are constantly on site are the most affected.
They will harass you, can't work. You can't work. You can't work. Even when you are bringing a grader or a bulldozer to come and clear the land, you have to pay them. Normally, they come in groups. So if they can see your shovel or your picker, they will take it and hit you.
The residents live in perpetual fear. Speaking openly about the activities of the langas in these communities is almost a taboo. The perpetrators of these acts, however, do not see anything wrong with the adventure. The news team chanced upon a youth leader of Kokrobite. The freedom of Augustine Nikwe, who has just been released from prison, has been celebrated by his comrades. He was arrested in connection with the OCA clashes among different groups of Langats. One person died in those clashes in August last year. He refuses to accept the Langat tag. According to him, they are engaged in legitimate activity.
When you don't live in a town, you don't have family in that town, and you go there doing that jobs, you think you can extort money from people. It can be termed as Langard. But me living in the town, whom my father have weeded, my father have farmed, my mother have farmed, my great people have farmed to own this land. If I go and I know this is my land, this is where my family farm, and I have that opportunity to sell, Why should he be termed as Langard?
Ni pleaded his innocence and went further to admonish his followers against entertaining any thoughts of revenge as he shared his prison experience.
There is scam in Oshie, and I've also warned my people. I've warned them to also be calm. We should leave to the law authorities for them to also do what they are expected of doing. Being in cells is not easy, but how will you do? It's a situation. You have to abide by it and pass by, but it's not a nice place to be.
Soaked in music and alcohol, the young men expressed their excitement about the release of their leader, who celebrated last year's Christmas in cells.
We thank God that our boss is out, and we all celebrate the New Year. When it's inside, we can't celebrate the Christmas well, but the New Year, we are going to celebrate it well.
Thank God that he is out. So it's good that we all will celebrate the Christmas together.
Ni is one of many young men who were arrested after the OCA clashes. With his freedom secured, there are calls for the remaining to be released.
Botiano for Kuntokwa, Omanche, Ocean for, Apraku for Kuntokwa, Omanche Botiano for, Etiantia say, Ocean for Kuntokwa, no more de chichi, Yama, Ewo, Kokrobiteha, Yentesa Adenasi. It is a Abino Tinka, that's a person boy, dear, and yesra buying, Ome boy.
Kingmaker for the communities, Daniel Ni Adetego, blames chieftaincy dispute for the activities of the Langards. According to him, the development has emboldened the youth to take to such illegal activities. The head of the Ni Ade Nakpa family has, however, assured a final court determination early last year paves way for a solution to the Langard menace.
In time past, yes, because at that time the family was a bit divided and we have issues. The authority lies at the office of the head of family, not the chief. Because chiefs controls 2 lands, whilst head of family controls family land. So because of that, there was issue about who is the legitimate head of family. But by the grace of God, that issue has been solved, and there has been a high court pronouncement.
The Kingmaker has plans of turning the enclave into a tourism hub in the capital, given the prominent location of the area.
What I'm doing now is collaboration. I'm trying to collaborate with the government through the municipal assembly, network with the tourism area, to develop our beachfront. As a matter of fact, without any bragging, we have the largest beachfront, the whole of this country. There are no recreational issues, no centers, no thing that befit the area. So I'm going to really work on that.
5 illegal miners have been remanded in police custody by the Koforidua Circuit Court B for mining in Atewa Forest Reserve during Christmas season. According to the prosecuting officer, Assistant State Attorney Cyril Boateng Keteku, the 5 were arrested at about 4 p.m. while on routine patrol duties in the Atewa Forest Reserve. On reaching Pillar 32 and 33 stretch of the forest after a long trek, the team spotted the 5 suspects busily mining for gold with several tools such as shovels, saucepans, pickaxe and jack bars. The suspects has since been remanded in police custody. The case has been adjourned to January 12th of 2018. Time now to go for a short break. Don't move. We'll be back with some more news.
There is a certain satisfaction that comes from hearing the real story from the horse's own mouth when a story breaks or is developing.
There are many enterprises of life that the Nanado government will fail.
This business about fighting corruption, we should move it away from the corridors of parliament and confront the greater matter outside there.
State of Affairs will be bringing you exactly that. We'll go eye to eye, face to face and head to head with the newsmakers at the heart of a story that is breaking or developing to unravel the intricate and minute details of the issues.
State of Affairs, now showing this and every Tuesday and Thursday at 8:30 p.m. State of Affairs is proudly sponsored by Verna Natural Mineral Water.
From music to movies, stage plays, dance, award shows, to the good, the bad, and the ugly in the entertainment industry.
Good evening, GH. Welcome to GHOne TV. Name is George Quay. You can call me GQ. Of course, this is The Pundit.
Join George Quay and his controversial pundits as they scrutinize, analyze, and grade our entertainment industry.
Satan was Lucifer, who was leading a good songs. Who God's party is with me more than Satan.
I love my wife. I cherish her so much. So I'm writing a song to paint her. And you relate it to a condom or vulgarism? Do you think that is fair?
You know, these are creative issues we should be discussing.
We entertain and educate right here on Pundits, live on GH1 TV.
The rising star Isaac Dugbe fights Cesar Juarez on the 6th of January 2018 for the WBO Super Bantamweight Interim World title.
Cesar Juarez, he goes there to fight. He's a Mexican man. He's a Mexican.
At the Bukom Boxing Arena. Gate opens at 6 p.m. Rate VVIP 300 cedis, VIP 100 cedis, regular 30 cedis.
Media partners GH1 TV and Star FM.
If you can't love me now, don't love me later. When my later is much greater, it only proves that you love.
This is not just a television show. This is not just a radio show. This is not just a magazine. This is not just an event. This is a platform telling authentic and honest stories of the struggles, challenges, and ultimately victories of the young African business leader.
Well, on starting our business, we bootstrapped the business, and we ended up selling our house and basically everything but one car.
Inspiring and motivating the next generation of business leaders.
In order to grow and to continue going as a leader, you've got to be generally having to be educating yourself, stretching yourself.
Equipping aspiring and emerging business leaders with leadership tools for business success and facilitating and building business networks, synergies, and relationships between businesses across the continent and the diaspora. This is the African Renaissance. This is Under 40 CEOs.
Welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, you're watching Newsroom right here on GH1 TV as we continue with the rest of our stories in our bulletin this morning. Long queues have characterized the renewal of driving licenses and insurances at all DVLA offices in Accra, and my colleague Joshua Ira is at the 37 office of the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority and is joining us on the phone lines to give us an update on the situation over there. Hello, Joshua. What can you report about the situation at the DVLA offices at 37?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Currently, I'm coming to you live from the DVLA office, which is here at 37 in Accra. And when you walk right into the premises, the normal practice that you find is quite clear in here. You find fleets of cars parked and some licensed, others to be renewed. And upon several encounters with some of the vehicle owners and drivers, we realized that most of them here have their cars in here to 2018, or to obtain the 2018
license. But there is pretty much of a challenge in here where the documentation process is quite challenging. But when we tried to speak with the head of administration here, he declined because according to him, he's uptight and he had to resolve certain issues before having time to engage with the media. But other persons that we spoke to here,
hello, Joshua.
Yes, as I was saying, we realized that when we came here, we realized that especially the very first place we visited was the physical and body inspection area, which is right behind me, where we've had so far, they've had about 90 vehicles checked, and 40 of them are registered, yet to be registered, and about 50 of them are going through the transfer process where change of ownership comes in, and that is what they are doing right here, if you can see behind me. And other vehicles too that have gone through some motor accident are also coming in here to be inspected before the other procedures take place. And to my immediate right, not so far from here, is where we have people who are in here to obtain their license and also to drop or prefer their temporary license and then go for the very authentic or the accredited one to use. But situation here is not as much as it would happen they would encounter at the documentation area, because most of the work that they need to attend to or do has to do with the documentation works. The people here are not being attended to much currently because there is a thronging. People are thronging the gates and the doors of the administration because they have issues. Others want their license to be renewed. Others too have been hanging in balance for quite some time now, and they've not been attended to, which is quite a challenge. We tried getting a few of them to speak with, but it was quite a challenge because they have, according to them, they have demanding or urgent matters to attend to, and so a bit of minutes that they could spare would actually cause them a lot, and which is what is happening here. But the authorities are not willing to engage the media, and that is quite challenging for now. But what you see on ground here, you would not see a lot of people walking in here. No, but the work is being done at the documentation zone or areas where the challenge is. Now, I managed to get the assistant administrator, who Susan Nelson, and she also declined the interview. But what she said was that what they are going to do currently is to put in a software in their system to detect the vehicles that have already gone through inspection, accredited or authentic inspection, before getting to the body and physical inspection area for the final process. Because some people do come in here with fake documentation, suggesting that they've gone through the appropriate or the right inspection with other private or bodies or areas. But that is what they are picking on ground currently. So she is at the back of the body and inspection area, trying to get the software in place so that they can check these vehicles coming in with false documentation. So currently, that is what is happening here, Lerato. And at the banking halls too, lots of payments have been done for other transactions that is related to the obtaining the 2018 registration.
All right, thank you very much, Joshua, for that update. That is my colleague, Joshua Ayure, reporting live from the DVAL office at 37 there. You've heard him in his update saying that, there is a lot of activity taking place right there where it is being hectic and quite busy. Time now to have a look at some of our business stories on our bulletin today. And we start off where a Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, Robert Ahom Kalense, has revealed that government intends to leave both the running of the Comenda sugar factory and the cultivation of sugarcane to feed the factory in the hands of private investors. The decision, he says, is part of government's agenda to revive the $35 million Indian Exim Bank facility that has been inactive since it was launched in May 2016.
The move is to ensure efficiency at the factory, as history over the years has shown that such partnerships yield better results compared to when government solely runs such enterprises. 6 companies so far, the minister has confirmed, have expressed interest in the running of the factory. Government is still considering the various proposals and will choose the one that promises the best returns. When fully operational, The factory could produce 97% of Ghana's sugar requirement, while outgrower sugarcane farmers, mostly in the central and western regions, could also be gainfully employed. Government is also expected to create the avenue for research institutions which are interested in coming up with the best variety of sugarcane to feed the factory, to do so in order for the factory to run at its optimum level.
Still in business and internationally, there we see that the value-added tax, that's the VAT, has been introduced in Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates for the first time. The 5% levy is being applied to the majority of goods and services. Gulf states have long attracted foreign workers with a promise of tax-free living, but governments want to increase revenue in the face of lower oil prices. The tax kicked in on the 1st of January in both countries. The UAE estimates that in the first year, that income will be around 12 billion dirhams. That's about equivalent to 2.4 billion euros. Petrol and diesel, food, clothes, utility bills and hotel rooms all now have VAT applied. But some outgoings have been made exempt from the tax or given a zero tax rating, rather, including medical treatment, financial services and public transport. Organizations such as the International Monetary Fund have long called for Gulf countries to diversify their sources of income away from oil reserves. In Saudi Arabia, more than 90% of budget revenues come from the oil industry, while in the UAE it is roughly 80%. Well, that's all we have for business today. Time now to go for a short break. Don't move. We'll be back with the rest of our stories in our bulletin.
A lot goes on around us every day. Sometimes traditional news outlets cannot capture it the very second it happens. But you have a phone that has a camera, so you have the power. Give us your account of the most depressing and interesting stories in your community. When it happens and you're there, you report it to 0551 433 055. When you see something, say something. Share it on 055 143 3055. MTN Video Report, Mondays and Thursdays on Newsroom, in association with
MTN, everywhere you go.
It is terrifying the number of precious lives this country continues to lose day in and day out to road accidents. Are you aware that as many as 2,198 people died through road accidents in 2016? What about the total pedestrian knockdowns and the injured, including children, pregnant women and the aged? And did you also know that the safest direction to use walking along the street is to face oncoming vehicles? For these reasons and many more, Bay Express Media has developed a road safety advocacy program titled The Road User Show.
Don't just get into the road with any vehicle. You have not that you and the driver had good time.
Take a date with the Road User Show. For with us, your safety is the #1 priority.
A moment of silence.
I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us.
My God, my God, my
Rhythms Live is brought to you by Malta Guinness.
Boy, from Sabel Crab! Oh, what a strike!
Because Uncle Ben Kofi, when he was alive, always said that the best way to defend is to defend.
Not to attack.
Not to attack.
When we go to the World Cup, we are so happy to be at the World Cup. You know, and we repeat the same mistakes all the time. So when we get there, we don't bring anything home.
Want the coach to tell you what to do on the pitch, but you have to be smart, because at times you see coaches today get confused. At times you see them on the pitch, on the sideline, they get confused. So you, the players on the pitch, you have to be smart.
I knew to get to a point that he will change his mind. As a leader, you have to lead by example.
You see, I've always had the belief that given the chance, a Ghanaian, can raise the flag of Ghana through football.
In the midst of legends, I am the host. Catch us every Friday for 90 minutes of fun-filled discussions right here on this network.
This show is powered by Permival Media and F&B Productions and sponsored by Unibank, Wembley Sports Complex Limited and Sam's Firma.
There is a certain satisfaction that comes from hearing the real story from the horse's own mouth when a story breaks or is developing.
There are many enterprises of life that the Nanado government will fail.
This business about fighting corruption, we should move it away from the corridors of parliament and confront the greater matter outside there.
State of Affairs will be bringing you exactly that. We'll go eye to eye, face to face and head to head with the newsmakers at the heart of a story that is breaking or developing to unravel the intricate and minute details of the issues.
State of Affairs, now showing this and every Tuesday and Thursday at 8:30 p.m.
But State of Affairs is proudly sponsored by Verna Natural Mineral Water.
From music to movies, stage plays, dance, award shows to the good, the bad and the ugly in the entertainment industry.
Good evening GH, welcome to GHOne TV. Name is George Quay, you can call me GQ. Of course, this is The Pundit.
Join George Quay and his controversial pundits as they scrutinize, analyze and grade our entertainment industry.
Satan was Lucifer, who was leading a good songs. Who gospel artist with me more than Satan.
I love my wife, I cherish her so much, so I'm writing a song to paint her. And you relate it to trachondom or vulgarism? Do you think that is fair?
These are creative issues we should be discussing.
We entertain and educate right here on Pundits, live on GH1 TV.
Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, you're watching Newsroom right here on GH1 TV. It's still a new year, just the second day of 2018. What are your New Year's resolutions? Have you made any? Well, making New Year resolutions has become a tradition for many people across the globe. The beginning of year 2018 means many people have set out their resolutions or wishes for the year. Now, we, however, visited the Accra Psychiatric Hospital on Monday to find out how patients are marking the festive season. In the following report, Alice Irete brings to the fore the wishes of these patients, most of whom have been abandoned by their families.
The Accra Psychiatric Hospital, which has been very busy in the past and featured prominently in the news when nurses at the facility embarked on strike over the lack of needed logistics and resources, looks different as the year 2018 begins. Right at the entrance through to the outpatients department of the Accra Psychiatric Hospital, one could feel the festive season at the facility. Unlike regular days where the OPD and the entire compound is usually busy, the atmosphere was different and very serene on Monday. New Year resolutions are easy to make and easy to break. People have been pledging New Year self-improvement for thousands of years, yet after few days, they break all of them. But have you wondered what a psychiatric patient's resolutions would be? We are here at the Accra Psychiatric Hospital to find out how our brothers and sisters here are celebrating the New Year's Day and to know what their 2018 resolutions are. Some of the patients who spoke to the news team said their #1 wish for the year is to recover. They also wish people will stop referring to them as mad people.
People should stop calling everybody a mad person. Anybody who says you are mad, by all means, you too will be mad before you die. If you call your fellow man a mad person, you also be mad before you die.
Well, I want to be a boss on my own.
Boss?
Yeah, where I can, have a lot of boys, train them.
But other resolutions were aimed at sweeping some nurses off their feet with abundance of love in the festive season.
Initially, we don't see female nurses here, but this time the female nurses keep coming, so that makes me happy. So I think things are getting better.
So for you this year, you want to see more of the women here?
Yeah. Even someone even married me. Yeah, I want a female nurse to marry. Yeah, I want that one to come true.
Pese obe worry. Say be afi we beso na wa worry ana.
Aye.
Ana o de pe wife.
Yeah.
Say me de.
O fe me dia.
Me pe o dia. Okay, me pe. Ti we penny. And you pie free her na ya worry. Why?
Yo.
Yet, some see no point in setting out resolutions since they have no control over what happens.
Resolutions which people made is not necessary. I didn't set any resolution for myself.
Why?
All that is, God knows what I want. So what I have to do is to give myself to God, to Christ. Accept Christ as your Savior.
Passing time while on the wards also means finding an activity during this period, one of which is fixating their eyes on television. Joy, however, comes in different forms for some, as they sang a few Christmas songs and even attempted to drop what rap artists call bars.
Holy, 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 holy data. Me feel your people clap too fast. Say give me the feel the rest, buzzing job,
For the health workers, a better 2018 means resourcing the facility, ensuring the safety of the workers while fighting against stigma and discrimination against mental patients.
It will be of great joy to me that by the end of the year, each and every one will come to appreciate mental health in the country. To be sincere with you, I'm not happy working in this environment. So I would appreciate if the government will come to our aid in order for us to provide better burdens for them. You look at where they are sleeping. It's not nice.
Now, however, serious talk can wait. What can't is the merrymaking, which will fade in a matter of time, that these patients cannot afford to miss.
Now money, them go by. See my body, them my brother, them my family, them say hi.
Well, I still ask you, what are your New Year's resolutions? Even the patients at the psychiatric facilities, have they expectations over the new year? And we move along to the rest of our local stories, where the Gamanche Taki Tekochu II has indicated his intention to fast-track the development of the Ga community by providing basic support systems for the youth. This, he believes, will bring the youth in that enclave at par with their peers in Accra. The king made the pronouncement at the first annual children's party with the king Takite Kochuru II in Jamestown.
Children in Bukom, Jamestown and its environs had the opportunity to interact with their king, Gamanche Takite Kochuru II. The king and his entourage marched through some principal street of Gamashi, exchanging pleasantries with indigents there. They later converged at the king's palace, where at least 1,000 children received freebies. The gesture, according to the king, is a move to draw closer to the people, particularly the youth. The king outlined some of the initiatives he intends to roll out to help the children in the area.
What I ask today is that there are so many social interventions that we need to raise for the Ghana Girl Support Fund. We also have the Gamanche Educational Fund, which we will launch soon. And also the Gamanche ICT Skill Development Fund. All will be supported by UNICEF and United Nations.
He, however, appealed to the media to increase positive reportage about the Ghana community, which is beset with chieftaincy disputes.
Do not report on the very little things that will mar the beauty of what resolve we have made here today. But instead, let us promote propriety, the peace that comes with making that this child profits from this reign. Just like you have helped other cultures in Ashanti, in Achim, in Angola, in the north, help the Ghana state to stand on its feet. I cannot stand on my 2 feet without you.
The annual children's party with His Royal Majesty Takite Kochuru II is the first of its kind in the Ghana land. Samuel Lancelot Boateng, GHOne News.
Some youth groups in Yendi on Monday embarked on a peaceful march in protest against the Dagbon Traditional Council plans to block the creation of Eastern Corridor region out of the current Northern region. The Dagbon Traditional Council last year kicked against the creation of the proposed Eastern Corridor region at a council meeting in Yendi, chaired by acting president and the regent of Dagbon, Kampakuyana Na Yakubu Abdullahi Andani. The council warned that any move to partition the current northern region will be to divide Dagbon and limit the powers of the Ya-Na, and added they will rebel against the same. However, in a bold defiance to the Traditional Council Authority, the youth group calling themselves the Coalition of Eastern Corridor Region Youth demonstrated against the chiefs and elders of Dagbon for seeking to protect their lands. And time now to have a look at our stories making headlines across the world on our international news segment.
Gunmen opened fire on worshippers walking back from church in the early hours of New Year's Day in Nigeria's oil-rich Southern River State, killing 16 people. Police spokesman Omoni Inamdi says many people were also wounded in the attack in the Ogba Egbema Indona area, about 85 kilometers from the oil city of Port Harcourt. He added, the motive for the attack is unclear and police are still hunting for the gunmen. 9 more people have been killed overnight as clashes between protesters and security forces continue in Iran for a 6th day. Reports say the latest violence in the central Isfahan region brought the number of reported deaths to at least 22. 6 protesters died in what was described as an apparent attempt to seize guns from a police station. Elsewhere, a boy aged 11 and a man were reported killed in clashes along with a member of the Revolutionary Guards. The protests in cities across Iran are the largest since the disputed 2009 presidential election. They began last Thursday in the city of Mashhad, initially against price rises and corruption, but have since spread amid wider anti-government sentiments. Hundreds of people have been arrested.
Well, that's all we have for international news. Time now for some of our sports stories. Well, I did call for sports before we went on to remind you our social media handle at GHOne TV. Remember to follow us on all our social media platforms. We are always ready to hear from you. Time now to have a look at some of those sports stories. Well, the pictures that you were seeing were some of the nominees that have been nominated for those said awards. That's all we have for our sports stories today, and bring us to the end of our bulletin as well. Thank you so much for tuning in. You go ahead and have a splendid day ahead.